Test 1 2 3 4. Check 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3 4. Check 1 2. Test 1 2 3 4. Check. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6.
call this meeting of December 17th of 2013 to order. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Bronson? Here. Supervisor Carroll? Here. Supervisor Elias? Supervisor Miller?
Here.
Chairman Valadez?
Present. Sorry, a little premature.
Yeah, I was going to say, dang, man.
Let the record show all members are present.
All right, today's invocation will be offered by Pastor Robert Allen of Desert Stream Bible Church and will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Elias. Everyone, please stand. Pastor?
From Proverbs in the Bible, some very wise words. Well, less commonly known are the words which follow and precede them. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. And do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Now let's pray. Eternal God, you've taught us in your word that you love mankind more than we can know or understand. We believe that you are involved in the affairs of men so that you might be glorified and so that you might seek our good, even here in Arizona's Pima County. In seeking the good of the Pima County, these supervisors partner with you. Some of the matters they consider today could be considered busy work, housekeeping, could be labeled trivia. But these men and women need to handle these things wisely and well. Other considerations may be important enough to affect every resident of this area and could change the direction and future of Pima County. These also need to be handled very wisely and with great care. I pray for the chairman and members of this body that each man and woman will be a good listener to the constituents of their districts so that they can know the needs, convictions, and preferences of the people they represent. But I pray, too, that they, each one, will humbly seek and listen to you, the ultimate source of wisdom, understanding, love, and faithfulness. We also pray for the safety, health, and strength of each member of this body and for the protection of their families. I pray for each one's integrity and for the strength to remain true to their principles, convictions, ethics, and morals in the midst of a culture where that kind of integrity is increasingly rare. And finally, I pray for your guidance in the deliberations today, that they may be conducted in an atmosphere of humility and respect for the good of the people of Pima County. In the name of our Lord, who loved us and showed us in his life and death what personal sacrifice and commitment for others looks like. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Carroll.
Mr. Chairman, if I could have a point of personal privilege, I'd like to thank
Please proceed.
I'd like to thank our Sergeant at Arms, Jim Ogden, for these wonderful gifts that you've provided. It's far better to give than to receive, is it not, my brother? Well, your cookie's in the mail. But I do want to say, who would know? I appreciate the sermon, the praise. Today, as Christmas approaches, who would have ever known that in an outpost of the Roman Empire, Judea, Samaria, thousands of years ago, there would be someone who would affect all mankind. And today, I want to celebrate and wish a Merry Christmas to all in this room, including all my fellow board members and staff, each and every one, in honor of Christmas. Thank you very much.
Other points?
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Miller.
I would like to thank all of the 25 volunteers that came out in support of our Helping Hands events that we held this weekend out at the Pima Animal Care Center. We walked all 200 dogs. It was a blast. It was so fun being out there with the dogs and the cats, and there were so many people that went out there to do this. And I'd like to just tell everyone in the audience and the members of the board, you can go out there and walk one dog. And it's a beautiful area because Silverbow Park has got water. My dog chased some ducks. And there's ducks, and it's just really pretty out there. So if you have half hour of time, go out there and walk a dog around the park because they need help out there. They had the concrete poured, and I did see the picture of the tent has gone up, which is just fabulous to see that happening. And the volunteers out there are so dedicated and what they see every day. They do amazing work, and I just want to thank them for that. I'd also like to thank the mayor of Oro Valley for inviting me out there to the parade. It was a real fun event, and hopefully we'll be out there again next year. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Elias.
I just make note of Chicanos por la Causa, which had their children's Christmas party this weekend and gave some free treats and free presents to about 2,000 low-income children who attended the event, and I think that's really the spirit of Christmas and why we get together and share with each other over the holidays.
Anyone else? I'm going to go ahead and take a point of personal privilege. Congratulations and keep up the good work to our good friend, Mr. Huckleberry. Yesterday marked 20 years since he accepted the position of county administrator. So congratulations and keep up the good work.
Quite a milestone, Chuck, 20 years.
He didn't look like he was...
Even Valdez didn't do that. No, so that's pretty good. Congratulations, man.
And the article mentioned him as an affable civil engineer from Flowing Wells. All right. Moving on to Pause for Pause, we have Officer Bowden with Roxy, a white and brown 2-year-old Sonoran purebred.
Good morning. This is Roxy. Roxy was especially selected for today. Roxy, don't be scared. Don't be nervous. She was specially selected. The gals in our licensing department selected her. They felt especially sympathetic to her. She had an embedded collar. What that is when somebody puts a collar on a dog when they're smaller and they grow and grow and grow, and the collar ends up growing into their neck and has to be cut out. So she has some scarring around her neck, but it just kind of looks like a fancy necklace underneath. But I've got the scarf on her to kind of camouflage that. She's fine now. It doesn't hurt her or anything. It's just some permanent scarring from that. She is available for adoption. Right now we're doing free adoptions for the holidays. So it's just the $15 licensing fee. And all the adoptions, even though they're free, will still include the spay or neuter, microchipping, and their shots. I would like to, again, thank you guys that the tent is up at our facility. We are almost ready to move the kennels into it, and we will have a lot more breathing room and space for all of our animals, and it will enhance their lives dramatically to have that additional space. So we appreciate the taxpayers and the members of the community that support these things, and especially the board for making it happen for us. So thank you all, and thank you all. Couldn't ask for a better Christmas gift for the animals. So thank you so much. We will be open weekdays from 12 till 7 and weekends from 10 to 5. Roxy will be available and ready to go this afternoon. She will need to be spayed first, but she's ready to be adopted this afternoon. You just have to wait a day or two for her surgery. But she's a special dog, super, super friendly. She's been with us since the beginning of November, and she would really, really love to be in a home of her own for the holidays. So if you know anyone that's interested in a dog, Roxy might be the, oh, let's see, she already found a home. Excellent. But yeah, she is hoping to get out of there and into a home of her own as quickly as possible, and hopefully somebody that puts a well-fitted collar on her that she will not grow into next time. So thank you so much. Thank you again, too, for letting us come down every week and give a dog an extra opportunity for adoption. So thank you.
Supervisor Elias.
Well, I would just say, having a good friend for the holidays is nice because family can drive you kind of crazy. And I think that's an international thing. and not necessarily a bad thing. But I'll tell you what, if you can help us find a nice home for this animal, if nobody here is willing to adopt the dog, that's fine. I know that Bill Staples, the county assessor over here, is willing to pay the freight, but since we're doing free adoptions this month, Bill, you're off the hook. So I'm going to let you slide on that one. But if you can't adopt the dog yourself, talk to some of your friends. Talk to some of your fellow parishioners or members of your congregation at church and see if somebody needs a nice pet to keep them company during this holiday season. And it would be sure great if we could get her out to somebody really rather quickly. So anyways, thank you all.
Thank you, Officer Bowden. Chair will entertain a motion to go into executive. Oh, I'm sorry. I've forgotten about the presentation. Item number 1 on the addendum agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the item.
Motion and second to approve item number 1 on the addendum agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Supervisor Elias.
Okay, if I could invite Dantai and Sayapan to come on up, and Daisy too, yes, of course. There we go. Dantai Sayapan, excuse me, that's on one name, right? I tried.
Good morning. Sorry about the mix-up in the parking. You got in okay, though. Nice to see you here.
Did you know when you receive one of these, you get a free dog? Hold that for a second. And I'll go ahead and read this proclamation, and then I'll ask you guys if you'd like to say a few words, okay? And we really appreciate you coming out this morning. And Daisy's a good friend of our office and works on a lot of stuff with us, so thank you very much for that work too, Daisy. Whereas Pima County recognizes the 20 years of service that the University of Arizona's Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office has provided, and joins in celebrating its efforts to raise awareness about Asian American and Pacific Islander issues, concerns, and cultural heritages. And whereas the Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office promotes student success for the diverse East Asian, Southeast Asian, Pacific Islander, South Asian, and second-generation South Asian American communities on the U of A campus, and whereas the Asian American Student Affairs Office consistently provides ongoing advocacy, education, and support service for these U of A students, and whereas the Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office cooperatively develops and maintains an inclusive environment that fosters a sense of belonging and an appreciation for diversity among Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and also within the entire University of Arizona and Pima County communities. And whereas learning about the contributions and experiences of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders is important to living and interacting with one another in our multicultural and multinational Pima County community. And whereas the Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office provides academic, educational, and cultural programs and resources that engage students to become active citizens in our ever-increasing global society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Pima County Board of Supervisors hereby honors the 20th anniversary of the University of Arizona's Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office by proclaiming Tuesday, December 17, 2013, to be Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office Day, and encourages all Pima County residents to broaden their awarenesses of the many rich cultures and heritages within the Asian and Pacific Islander communities, passed and adopted this 17th day of December 2013. Let's give them a nice round of applause, please.
Good morning. My name is Daisy Rodriguez-Patel. I work at Pima Community College, and we partner a lot with the University of Arizona. And one of the roles that I have is I serve on President's Hearst Diversity Council. And I think it's really critical for us to really honor all cultures and all communities in Pima County, and to celebrate the 20th anniversary is really critical. And sometimes there's this misconception that offices such as these are only for Asian Pacific Islanders, but it's really for the benefit of the entire community, so that we could learn about one another and truly develop cultural competency. So I just really want to thank the board for acknowledging this, and thank you, Richard, so much for your support. So I'm going to let Dan say a few words. He's the director of the Asian Pacific American Student Affairs Office.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for the Pima County Board for not only this honor on behalf of the university and APASA together, but thank you for this honor, and thank you for the new dog that we're going to receive later. But we want to say, in these 20 years, I've been in the area for about 10 years, and we've seen many changes in this office. But we continue to see the struggle of our students and our student population that we have here. So we continue to work on that. But we've seen many successes locally with the work that we do in APASA, nationally with the research that we do all over the country, and also internationally with a new study abroad program that we implemented this past few years. So we continue to see that struggle, and we continue to work on with these students so we can make them as successful as possible and be part of these boards just like you are. So we want to thank you again for this honor, and we're right in the center of the university, so come visit us soon. So thank you once again.
Thank you for all your work. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board a executive session item only? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion and second to go into executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. We will return at the sound of the gavel. Bye-bye. Call this meeting back to order. Council, we had several items on the executive session calendar. Council, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, all the executive session items were on the addendum. Executive session item 3 on the addendum concerns Valencia Coal Properties, LLC, et al. Versus Pima County. This is United States District Court case number CV 01319-DCB. It also concerns alignment of the Valencia Cove intersection and related Regional Transportation Authority risk mitigation analysis. County Attorney's Office recommends that the county proceed as discussed in executive session.
Move the county attorney's recommendation.
Motion and a second to approve the county attorney's recommendation. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Council?
Next on, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, are items 4 and 5. We'll take these together. This concerns Title Security Agency of Arizona as trustee under trust numbers 773 and 787 et al. Versus Pima County. Arizona Tax Court case number 2010-1181, which has been consolidated with KFI/AAFSR Holdings LLC versus Pima County. Arizona Tax Court case number TX 2011-505. This involves multiple parties for tax years 2011 and 12. This is the litigation involving the remaining custom home sites in Saguaro Ranch. What we're doing here is simply asking the board to reaffirm a settlement that the board entered into, the settlement amounts that the board entered into for these tax years. That was done on April 16th, 2013. The only modification to the settlement is that the settlement values for tax year 2012 will not roll over to 2013, and we would recommend the modified settlement.
Attorney's recommendation to modify settlement.
Second.
On 4 and 5, correct?
On 4 and 5, yes.
Okay. Motion to approve the county attorney's recommendation on item 4 and 5 on the executive session calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Council.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, item 6 on the addendum agenda concerns Dove Mountain Hotel Company, LLC, Arizona Tax Court case number versus Pima County, Arizona Tax Court case number TX 2012-484. This is for tax years 2013 and 14, and the litigation involves the Ritz-Carlton Resort at Dove Mountain, located north of Tangerine Road and east of I-10 in Marana. The assessor and county attorney recommend settlement, which would result in an estimated tax decreases of $128,070 for tax year 13 based on tax 2013 rates, and $124,815 for 2014, also based on the 2013 rates. The settlement values for the tax year 2014 will not roll over to 2015 pursuant to the agreement of the parties.
Move the county, oops, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Move the county attorney and assessor's recommendations.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the county attorney and assessor's recommendation on item number 6, the executive session calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Council.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, last item we have is item 7 on the addendum agenda, and involves the Board of Supervisors sitting as the Board of Directors of the Pima County Flood Control District, and it concerns Pima County Flood Control District versus Fidelity Title Agency, Inc. et al. Pima County Superior Court case number C 2013-2297. In this case, the Pima County Flood Control District sought to condemn approximately 85.63 acres of property in and along the Cañada del Oro floodway on the west side of La Cañada Drive. The parties participated in a settlement conference on October 22nd, 2013, at which a proposed settlement was reached. Under the proposed settlement, the Pima County Flood Control District would pay a total of $1 million in just compensation for the 85.63 acres, plus an additional 69.72 acres of property along the Santa Cruz River and West Branch of the Santa Cruz River between West Valencia Road and West Irvington Road. As part of the proposed settlement, if approved, the board must find it necessary to exercise its authority of eminent domain to acquire the property identified by these are the new properties, by Pima County Assessor parcel, tax parcel numbers. And I apologize, I do have to read these. 13711-431D. The next one would be the same number G, and the next one the same number J, and then 137-335710 and 137-335810 for flood control purposes, and to authorize the county attorney to amend the complaint to condemn those additional parcels. That way we wrap them all up in one settlement. County administrator and the county attorney's office recommend approval of the proposed settlement, including the required finding of necessity and authorization for the county attorney to amend the complaint to acquire the additional parcels by eminent domain.
Move the county attorney and administrator's recommendation.
Second.
And just with the note that we have a willing seller.
Yeah.
With the, as regards the condemnation.
Second.
Yes.
Motion and a second to approve the county attorney and administrator's recommendation, or assessor's recommendation on item number 7 in the executive session calendar under Flood Control District Board. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Council, I believe 8 was information.
I think that concludes everything at that
Okay.
point. Yeah.
All right, Board of Supervisors and its other boards, Flood Control District Board, item number 5 on the regular agenda, riparian habitat mitigation.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Carroll.
Mr. Chairman, on the regular agenda, page 2, under Flood Control District Board, number 5, riparian habitat mitigation, I'd request a motion to be seconded that would approve the riparian habitat mitigation plan for the property located at 4001 North Soldier Trail with an important riparian habitat underlying Class H habitat.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve item number 5. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Library District Board, item number 6, award.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Elias.
I'd like to move item 6, amendment of award number 12-142. Amendment number 1.
Motion and a second to approve item number 6 under Library District Board. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving the Board of Supervisors sitting in regular session. Consent calendar. I do not have any cards. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board on a consent calendar item only? If not, what's the will of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Miller.
I'd like to pull item number 6 and item number 10 for separate discussion and vote. I move to pull item number 6 and item number 10 for separate discussion and vote.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to pull item number 6 and item number 10 for separate discussion and vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Item number 6, Supervisor Miller.
Mr. Chairman, my question on this one is regarding the timing. This is very concerning. This work was completed last year, and I'm wondering why wasn't this brought before the board a year ago prior to the work being completed? The board didn't even get the opportunity to vote on this. And the other question that I had is exactly how much money did Pima County spend on tenant improvements? And that work is also already done. That's information that I would like, and I know that you know, it seems to me that we should be getting this information prior to it coming to the board for a vote. These after-the-fact votes seem to be happening more and more, and I'm quite frankly offended by it, and I think our staff needs to step up and make sure they get these things before the board before we vote on them, not after the fact when the work's already done. So I would like to know, how much did Pima County spend on tenant improvements?
Mr. Huckleberry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and
Excuse me, Mr. Huckleberry, before you answer, I don't mean to be interrupting, but are we talking about item 6 or are we talking about item 10? Or do we have them both
We are
mixed in together?
talking, I pulled item 6 and item 10.
I realize that.
I'm discussing them separately for separate vote, as we
Okay.
should be doing.
Yeah, please.
I don't want to
just-
combine them
I just didn't
because I don't want to
understand that.
confuse
I didn't
them.
understand your question. I
Okay.
apologize.
I'm
Thank you.
specifically discussing item 6.
Mr. Huckleberry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think the item that is referenced by Supervisor Miller is really not on the agenda. It is in fact a tenant improvement made for Pima Vocational High School. This particular agenda item deals with the programming for youth programs at the Valencia Youth Center. It is for a fiscal year. None of the funds have been expended, therefore it's really not a retroactive contract. It just covers a fiscal year, and so it's just nomenclature with regard to how we actually contract for those services. So I think it is fine to proceed, and if we have Hank Appa, if anything is, but I think that's the issue, is this is a contract for youth services, John Valenzuela Youth Center. Funds have not been expended. It is for the fiscal year, is budgeted, appropriated for that fiscal year, so, but nothing's been spent to date. With regard to the tenant improvements, there's a small series of tenant improvements in John Valenzuela to accommodate Pima Vocational High School, and those are different funding sources.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Huckleberry, that is not the information that we were provided. We were told that this was a retroactive contract and includes a scope of services for work already performed. I believe this came from Mr. Appa's office. The contact was Mr. Charles Casey.
Mr. Chairman.
Is he in your office?
Mr. Arthur.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, Mr. Huckleberry. The contract actually covers two things. The primary purpose of the contract and the total expenditure of $113,000, which is the amount of the contract as it's stated here, is for youth services at John Valenzuela Youth Center. This is an ongoing contract. We've had these services in place and funded these services for probably 10 years or more. This particular contract, in staff's recollection, was written in May and was ready to move forward. There was a change in administration at the City of South Tucson, and concurrently a change in the individual who processes contracts in Mr. Casey's office. We're not absolutely sure whether it was the original version was lost in South Tucson or whether it was lost in our offices, but it was misplaced. It was scheduled for processing in May or June, but someplace between the two of us it was misplaced. When we came back, when we realized that had occurred, we came back and prepared this new version of the contract and are presenting it here. It does include under Article 4, Item C, or Paragraph C, it does include authority, as Mr. Huckleberry explained, for some upgrades that were made to a part of the facility in order to accommodate a move into that facility or use of that facility by Pima Vocational High School. That the money for those upgrades is not included in the $113,000. Those upgrades were made just before the beginning of the new fiscal year, and this is simply recognizing the authorization for the county to complete those. Those have been completed. I do not know the exact amount of those upgrades, but that's the only part of this that goes back before the fiscal year.
Excuse me, that was my question, is what was the amount of upgrades? I mean, this is information that we should have if we're voting on these types of agreements, that we should have this information prior to voting. And it's information that should be included in the background material. It isn't in there. And when I vote on something, I like to know how much money I'm approving. And this happens over and over again, and that's why it's beginning to get tedious, because I'm voting on things that I have no idea how much money we're spending. I understand the $113,000 for the 2-year term. We're behind 6 months. I get it. There was something lost somewhere, and there was a change in administration. But when we've done these improvements, we should have the invoice and the amount of money. We should have that detail in the backup material for the board to review, instead of waiting until after the fact. And I always ask for reports, which I never receive. When I ask for the reports on this type of information, I feel like someone's blowing smoke and I don't get the information, and I'd like this information. We did laboratory upgrades, water fountain replacement, telephone system replacement. This is the kind of information that we need as a board. I feel very strongly that I would like to have this, number one, before we ever vote on it. Number two, when I ask for it in situations like this in the past, I haven't gotten this information, and I would like to please receive the detailed information on this request.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, I understand and I agree with your point. I would say that these upgrades were processed through facilities management, and that the actual budget for these was approved previously by the board. I'll get that material for you.
Thank you.
Huckleberry?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, the agenda item is not relevant to the upgrades or any of the modifications to the facility. Those modifications of that facility were accommodated by staff, and internal cost transfers between facilities management not requiring an expenditure. And so the contract that is before you is $113,000. It covers the fiscal year, and if I'm not correct, nothing has been expended out of this particular contract amount to date.
Mr. Huckleberry, Mr. Chairman, this is in the contract. It's Article 4, item number 8. It's Article 4 under Scope of Work Services, item C. It's part of the IGA that we have with South Tucson, which is the reason I'm questioning it. If it's not going to be a part of it, let's strike it from the contract. And it's in there. So, you know, when these things are included, that's why I look to find out the information on it. So.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Miller, are you done with your point?
I'm just making the point that it is in fact in this contract, in this IGA.
Supervisor
And
Carroll.
Mr. Atha just read from it.
Supervisor
Mr.
Carroll.
Chairman, thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say on this or any other item, when the agenda does come out, I've found that a request to staff would usually provide the backup information, whether it's Mr. Atha or Mr. Whittigris or Ms. Cervantes in the past. Whether I disagreed or agreed with the notion that was placed on the agenda, I found staff was ready, willing, and able to provide background material. Have you received any staff request for the background material before this meeting, Mr. Atha, on this item?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Carroll, I have not personally received it. I understand that Mr. Casey's office, or Mr. Casey did have a conversation with Supervisor Miller's office. I do not know all of the details of that conversation.
Okay,
Mr.
well,
Chairman.
excuse me. I can only speak for myself when I say I have received. If I've had sent a delineated request for background information, as I said to either Mr. Atha, Mr. Whittigris, Ms. Cervantes, who are in the back of the room currently. I just want to say, if we could, do you have these as time-sensitive and expedited requests from board members? If not, maybe we should enhance the request by having somehow a stamped time is of the essence Board of Supervisor data information request as part of those requests from staff. Just trying to help Mr. Huckleberry and the chairman in some way if I can be today. Thank you.
Supervisor Miller.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to inform Mr. Carroll that my office works very closely with every item on this agenda, and we follow up to get the information. We get this addendum on Friday, and I work all weekend reading the material, and we, of all the staffs, I believe my staff is very proactive in getting all of this information, but we don't always receive it. And when we don't receive it, the questions will be asked in the board meeting. My personal preference would be study sessions, but we don't have those. So as a result of that, when we don't get the information, and these are short fuse, we get the agenda and the addendum so quickly, and we meet on Tuesday morning, we're expected to vote intelligently, and if we don't have the information, you bet I'm going to ask the questions, and I make no apologies for that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, gee, I think that was taken personally. I'm just trying to help the system by expediting with some type of a time-sensitive stamp that it's for Tuesday meetings, and maybe that could be taken in the way that it was presented. Thank you.
Is there any, Supervisor Bronson?
I am going to move the item, given the explanation.
Motion and second to approve item number 6 on the consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, please signify by saying nay.
No.
Ayes have it. Moving on to item number 10. Supervisor Miller.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, item number 10, I understand the Sheriff's Department is in the process of clarifying terms to determine whether having Pima Community College do the training education programs and whether or not that makes sense and whether it's more cost-effective for the Sheriff's Department. What I would like to know, and it wasn't included in the background material, what is the cost, and I understand that we don't have this in this meeting, but I would like to know what the cost has been in terms of the training for recruits and corrections officers in the past, get some sort of a comparison when this is finally done. That was really my question on this, is that I would like to understand the difference between having Pima Community College do it versus the Sheriff's Department. And I do understand they are in negotiation phases of this, but that was just a question for information that I would like to get. And if there's no other questions on this, I would like to move to approve this item, number 10 on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item number 10 on the consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to the remainder of consent in its entirety.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Elias.
I'll move the remainder of consent.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the remainder of consent in its entirety. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving to finance and risk management, item number 9.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the item.
Motion and second to approve item number 9. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, please
Aye.
signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Industrial Development Authority, item 10 and 11, and resolutions number 2013, 114 and 115.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Elias.
I'll move items 10 and 11, including resolutions 2013, 114, and 115.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item number 10 and 11 and their corresponding resolutions. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Hearings, franchise license permits, items 12 and 13.
Mr. Chairman, is there any, these are hearings, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address us as item 12 and item 13, both of which are fireworks permits? If not, I move to close public hearing and approve those items.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing and approve item number 12 and 13. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Development Services, item number 14, type 2 conditional use, P21-13025 Asarco LLC, Mission Mine et al., South Mission Road. Staff report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. This is a Type 2 conditional use permit for an equipment testing facility for the Komatsu Corporation. We had our public hearing on this, had some members of the public there giving us some good testimony. Ultimately, after considering same and as well as the applicant's testimony and all the facts of the case, I issued a recommendation to the board to approve this conditional use permit request subject to standard conditions as well as 10 special conditions. Subsequent to the issuance of that recommendation, we did get correspondence from the applicant asking for a reconsideration or slight modifications to a couple of those conditions. I did contemplate that, look at the facts, and issue a response to that. And in addition to that, staff also, in addressing certain particulars that came up with respect to the scenic route ordinance, decided to recommend an additional condition to address setbacks, color, and those kinds of things from the scenic route ordinance that were applicable to this request. So in the end, the recommendation before the board today is for approval of this request, subject to standard and special conditions. The conditions that were originally recommended you will find on page 3 of the memorandum that was my original report, and then Tom Drzgowski did a nice follow-up memorandum that should also be in your package. That's dated December 16th, which gives modified wording for condition number 5, as well as adds a new condition, condition number 11 it would be, to address the scenic route particulars. So unless there are any further questions of me, that would constitute my staff report. The applicant and their representatives are also here to, I'm sure, answer whatever questions the board might have.
I do have a speaker card, and they do wish to speak. Let me call Jilly Gabriel. Please come up, ma'am. Identify yourself for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Yes.
I'm Jilly Gabriel. I live at 15220 South.
Please
You
get
need
close to the mic.
speak into the mic if you could.
I'm Jilly Gabriel. I live at 15220 South Mission Road. Just a couple of things to kind of set it in the recommendations, which I didn't get the second one, but in the recommendations it said that this, all intents and purposes represents a significant reduction in noise, hours of operation, and general intensity of the use over Sarco full-fledged mining operations that formerly occurred on the same property. This just isn't true. I mean, it just isn't true. Sarco did have a brief thing from early January of this year to early April where they covered up Pioneer rock crushing. But they were in constant contact with my neighbor, Donna Gail Chilton, who was on sabbatical out of state. She asked me to speak, and I understand from Jack Newbeck that Komatsu would be happy to put a low reflective earth tone roof because she's going to, her property overlooks this other property. It's a historic property that she lives on. She is a very social person. She does night sky things. She does a lot of astrology and astronomy, and I participate in potlucks over there. We sit around the campfire and just enjoy the desert. And so it's really going to highly impact this historical area that she lives on. Her father and grandfather of another owner of the property who couldn't be here because of her work schedule. Her father actually found the original mine strike, the copper strike that started all these copper, and has been a big boom to this area. However, it just seems ironic or unfair that she's going to get the bump of this particular area. And I do believe that Komatsu is going to do as nice a job as they can. But I would like to have that included as part of the use permit because I'm assuming that you're going to approve it. It's certainly better than having the mines just bulldoze over the riparian area and cover it up with 200 feet of dirt. So personally, I'm drawn. I'm torn. And I also sent a thing to the clerk of the court, which I believe was included. And so you know, it's a tourist area. It's a beautiful area. We all love living out there. We want to be good neighbors with Komatsu and Sarco, and we want them to respond in kind. And the other big concern is the animals. And I don't really know. Jack Newbeck said that Komatsu said that basically they're going to keep the barbed wire fence up there, which, you know, the deer and all of them can jump or get through, or there's places where the fence is down. And so the larger animals do have access to this area that has been basically undisturbed by a Sarco for a long time. So trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say.
I'm going to ask you please to summarize. I'd let you go a minute longer than 3 minutes, but if you could please summarize.
The safety of the animals, some environmental, I don't know, game and fish or something to make sure the safety of the animals is the wild animals is protected, and that, assuming that you're going to approve this, that everything be like dull, flat desert colors and fit in with the environment. And Komatsu seems to be a nice company. I think they'll do it. But I'd like it part of the use permit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Supervisor Elias.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, please,
the
go ahead,
applicant
sir.
to respond.
Go ahead, Supervisor.
Good morning. Jack Newbeck from the Planning Center, 110 South Church, for Komatsu North America and for the landowner, Asarco Inc. I don't know, are these on? Okay, thank you. Well, I have met with Jilly out on site, and I understand where she's coming from, but just a brief history. What this is a relocation of an existing facility that Komatsu has in Green Valley. The lease that they had has been terminated. They have a year to get off, so they are going, and that's because Freeport-McMoran bought the land, and they're basically kicking them off. So they're looking for a new area to do testing of their equipment. Now, there will be no mining done. If this was continued to be owned by Asarco, they had the ability to go in there and mine and do whatever they wanted to. The biological impact report that was done by Westland Resources, we have put aside 2 times the amount of land that is going to be disturbed for a new building it will not be touched. It will be definitely just untouched. So, and I understand also what Jilly is saying. It's very hard, but at the same time, all they're doing is testing. And if the thing comes up, oh, okay. The area where the building is going to be is in orange. The area that's already been disturbed is they're just going to be moving dirt around. They're not doing any mining. They're just dealing with stuff that's already in the process. I would then show you, no, this is better. This is directly in front of where the building is. And this is approximately 176 feet tall. So the building is going to be placed in front of that. So
In front or behind?
In front.
Okay.
It's bordering, it's going to be just east of.
In terms of its impact, visual impact on adjacent property owners?
Yes, the
Explain that.
nearest property owner is 3,150 feet away, and that's to the northwest. Gail, is it? She's, yeah, Jill, well, but Gail, who she's referring to, she's on an elevated area, I understand that, but she is over 3,600 feet away from where the actual building is going to be. And currently what they're looking at is this and this. So, I mean, Komatsu does want to be a good neighbor, and they will be a good neighbor. Yes, Mr. Carroll, I see a quizzical look.
I'm just in awe. Those are tailings.
Yes.
And those are 176 feet high?
Yes.
Thank you. Those were not mountains that were sculpted at one
they're
point,
tailings.
like some
They're
real
tailings.
estate agents say to Green Valley prospects
So,
who are thinking about buying there.
so as Mr. Portner in his report said, we do feel that this is a much lesser use than what could go on if Asarco continued to do a mining operation.
Is it my understanding that Komatsu has agreed via the information you relayed to Jillian that they will paint the building earth tones?
Yes, and I have a representative here, Jim Baird.
And we
from
can add
Komatsu.
that to the conditions? Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the new condition that has been added by
Okay,
staff.
okay, it has been, okay.
Yes, and, we're in full agreement with the staff report and with the modified and original conditions and modified
Okay,
conditions.
that was my next question, thank you.
It seems to me that there was some kind of confusion about whether the scenic route stuff comes into effect on this one, and I think it was not really recognized in the first set of conditions that came out. So since that came about, there's this change. So, Jilly, I know, thank you for coming over here, and your point is well taken. This is a serious change in the use of this land, what's currently being used right now. The potential is there for something much more invasive, mining actually there. But Komatsu will probably be okay, and now that we have the scenic route stuff in there, I think you're going to find that it's a little bit more acceptable to
Can
you as
staff make
neighbors and stuff.
sure that she gets a copy of the modified conditions?
Yeah, exactly. I think that'll help define some stuff.
Future, as things are, assuming this gets approved, as things are moving forward, going through the permitting process, that Komatsu and their consultants, the engineers, will go out of their way to show her along the way, where the building's going to be, actually go out there and mark it and so on. So to stay in touch, we're not in this for the short haul.
The other question I have is about wildlife. And how are we going to deal with wildlife over there? Just so it's real clear to everybody right here in the room, right now, please.
We're not making any changes to the existing condition other than securing the orange area that was where the building is going to be. Other than that.
And that's with a barbed wire fence?
Yes. No,
Chain
well,
link
except
fence, or what is it going to
No,
be?
there's going to be a masonry wall.
Masonry wall?
Along Mission.
Okay, with barbed wire on top.
No,
Everybody got?
no barbed wire on
I
top.
thought you had said that.
No.
No, there's existing barbed.
So,
There's
there's
existing barbed
existing,
wire.
yeah, right, the regular ranch fence.
No,
yeah.
we're not going
Okay.
to put any new barbed
Okay,
wire.
I just wanted to make that all clear here in the
Appreciate
room
it.
while we're out here.
Are you going to be eliminating that barbed wire? Is that what you're saying? By putting up this new wall?
I don't believe so,
No,
because
it's
that's
still
still
gonna remain.
Asarco's land, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just, this land will no longer have any mining done on this
Correct.
property, which
Correct.
is
And the
better for the
area
animals.
that's left to be undisturbed will not be touched. That'll-
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Brownson.
if there are no further comments, I want to thank Jillian for coming. I am going to move to close the hearing and approve the type 2 conditional use subject to the original standard and 10 special conditions. In addition, the additional modified conditions and information contained in Mr. Drozowski's December 16th memorandum. And again, close the hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing, and the motion on item number 14 is stated by Supervisor Bronson.
You don't want to restate it?
No.
Okay.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to transportation, item number 15, transportation resolution number 2013-116.
Mr. Chairman, it's a hearing. If nobody wants to address us on this, I move to close public hearing and approve resolution number 2013-116 and item 15.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing and approve item number 15 on the regular agenda, resolution, including resolution number 2013-116. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to the addendum agenda. Let's see, Flood Control District Board, item number 8 and resolution number FC9. I do have one speaker.
Okay.
And that's Carolyn Campbell. Where are you, Carolyn? Please come up, identify yourself for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman?
Supervisor Elias.
While Carolyn's making her way up here, there's a number of items. Are we hearing these all together and then vote on them individually? Why don't we do that rather than hearing it 3 different times? See what I mean?
Yes.
Are you talking about item 8 and 10?
You're talking about
There's
8 and
item
10.
8, there's item 10, and isn't there one more? Maybe I'm
I think
mistaken.
there's just 2.
I thought there were just 2.
Just those 2?
What
Well,
I'd,
let's
what I'd like to do is we'll hear the testimony for both items together, but we'll consider them separately because they're
Yeah,
we're sitting
that's
as separate
what I was
boards.
suggesting.
Right,
Thank you. Thank
okay.
you, Mr. Chairman. You're such a gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So I am here to address both item 8, Flood Control District Board item, and item 10, Board of Supervisors agenda item. First of all, my name is Carolyn Campbell, and I'm here representing the Coalition for Sonoran Desert Protection, 300 East University. And I will say that the coalition supports this development agreement amendment for I-10 Aber Valley. We have been working on this area and this wildlife linkage in particular since, I think it was a year-long process on the last comprehensive plan update. When this was, and the Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan, when this area and these parcels in particular were recognized as a regional critical wildlife linkage. And so we're really excited to see this continue to move forward. We're actually supportive of the use that's going to be going into that area because of the development agreement issues and the enhancement fee, now called the environmental fee, that is going to be a boon to the county. We do have one slight request for language change and a couple other issues that we'd like to ask the board. The very first one is on page 5 of the development agreement, section 4.2.5. And as background, the amendment has new uses for paying of public infrastructure as opposed to just the environmental part of the funding for this, because I understand there's going to be more money than was previously expected in this. We do support that. However, in this section 4.2.5, it expands the use of this fee from the southern end of the Tucson Mountains all the way to, I think, the eastern end of the Tortolita Mountains. We do support that flexibility, but we have a concern about the phrase that says with an emphasis on the county's natural resource parks. And I'm sure that there's a good reason to have that in there, but this is a very long-term agreement, and just for the interpretation going into the future, we would like to see that this continues to stay focused as possible on this particular wildlife linkage. And, you know, maybe I could ask Mr. Huckleberry, but that phrase kind of jumped out as if that would have a priority over the linkage lands. The second, and we had a lot of discussion about this in the coalition, the Santa Cruz River Trail, in the, let's see, I think it was attachment B, where it talks about the Santa Cruz River Trail, and we think that could be we think that could be problematic to the wildlife linkage, a 16-foot asphalt path right through the middle of the linkage. And so we had considered asking the county to remove that, and looking at the maps of the CAP Canal, Twin Peaks, and some of the other planned infrastructure and current infrastructure, we would just ask that we could sit down and work with county staff to have both of those priorities, the trail connectivity and wildlife movement, achieved in this. So that would be my second request. And finally, we had been requested by the county to facilitate stakeholder involvement there's just so many stakeholders involved in trying to really reconnect this critical linkage, and we've been working on that for years. We have a work plan that was updated just a couple of years ago, and one of the things that we have talked with the stakeholders was to have a stakeholder committee that gives advice to the county, looks through some of these parcels for acquisition, some of the restoration funding requests and things like that, and we would really like to have the county sit with a small group of stakeholders to advise the county. We don't think that needs to be in the agreement, but we would ask that the county board direct the staff to work on that. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, what's the will of the board?
Well,
hang on,
Chairman?
Mr. Huckleberry.
I was going to say, could Mr. Huckleberry comment on Carolyn's question to him, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 3 points, and I think they're not major issues. The language that we put in with regard to emphasis is really not intended to supplant the primary purpose, which is the wildlife corridor. It's really talking about if there's land acquisitions that will occur as a result of the particular funding here, we want those to be attached to and hopefully build on the wildlife corridor as well as our natural resource parks in the area, as opposed to being isolated parcels. And that was really the emphasis. I think Nicole had even some different language that kind of, took away the emphasis of how it could be misinterpreted, that we were trying to use the money to expand the parks. It's really talking about trying to make priority if we're going to have an isolated parcel or a parcel that accommodates the wildlife corridor. We'd like to emphasize the one that's attached to an already public reserve, so it just makes it function better. And I think, Nicole, do you have any modified language for that section?
I do, Mr. Chair, members of the board. If we were to replace...
Please turn on your mic.
I think it's on.
Okay.
If we were to replace the with an emphasis on the county natural resource parks, if we scratch that and replace it with the intent of avoiding the creation of isolated park land, I think that that's consistent with what the intent was and should be consistent with the coalition's concerns.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Then on the second item, I don't think we have any particular problem working with anyone with regard to if we build a river park and a river park is part of this plan, that it be compatible with the wildlife crossing. In fact, I think our view was that adding tree canopy and landscaping probably could help or should help with wildlife crossing. The river and the bank protection provides kind of a barrier now, and perhaps we could continue to work with those to try and mitigate those impacts. I didn't think we felt the river park was a barrier. We probably felt it was actually a facilitator. But we're happy to talk about it and happy to work with the coalition on it. With regard to the oversight, I think that committee, obviously, we're going to want them to stay involved, because if you're going to make this wildlife linkage functional between Tucson Mountain Park and Tortolita Mountain Park, you're going to need all of those players, because each of them operate some type of facilities that will in fact become or is a barrier now, whether it's a railroad or the interstate or electrical transmission lines, or whether or not any of the Tortolita fan properties remain as open space with regard to the state land. So again, we have no problem with working with anybody. We just don't want to have be put in the position to where the oversight committee has to approve funding for what we're going to do to create the corridor.
You know, I would just say that, you know, I respect all my colleagues up here on the Board of Supervisors right now, and I respect Mr. Huckleberry and his 20-year tenure here at Pima County, but into the future, I think it's important that we be very clear in the language on a long-term agreement like this that's going into effect, that while Nicole's language about the issue of not creating isolated parcels is good, and it's better than what we have right now, I would appreciate that the maker of the motion, whoever it might be, put in that emphasis on a wildlife corridor and maintaining the idea of that wildlife corridor and adding to it and establishing it here in this area is critical for us, I think. That way, there's no question of this board's intent or of obfuscating the issue further. I just think that's important to us, and I appreciate Mr. Huckleberry's notion of continuing to work with the committee as well. I think that's important, and I think we need to make sure that that committee stays there intact to help us deal with some of these issues that you brought up, Mr. Huckleberry, which loom large in the area. But I understand that in the end, the final decision about funding is going to come down to the 5 people that are sitting on the Board of Supervisors at the time. And that's why I say it's important to make sure that we're very clear about that. I think Carolyn wants to add something, Mr. Chairman. Could we indulge her a minute and let her respond to that, please? Please. Thank
you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor Elias, on the point of the alternative language, as Supervisor Elias says, in long-term process, I mean, it's been very, very supportive by this administration and the board, but this is going down 30 years. I wanted to make a point about the isolated parcels. Without getting too far in the weeds, we have this is a very complicated and a very, there's so many multiple parcels and so many multiple issues. For example, we have now working on a conservation easement by Tucson Electric Power next to their power plant. We have a private developer in Marana that is putting aside 100 acres. So piece by piece, this needs to be built, and sometimes it might be an isolated parcel in the short term as we continue to work towards a functional set of lands and hopefully a bridge over I-10 in that area 30 or 40 years down the road, working with Arizona Department of Transportation. So while I appreciate the language, I still have a fear that into the future that language could be used. And mostly, I guess, maybe the fear is in regards to the fact that this is a lot of money. And having worked with Marana when they were thinking about annexing this land, it just seems that because there's such a large funding source that things could go sideways years down the road. So however that can be worded in this, we still feel that that should be removed. And finally, I did talk to the current property owner, and the current property owner has been great in this whole process of working with the county and working with the stakeholders. And they would be okay with that if the county would be. I think they're here for themselves, but I did get an email to that effect on section 4.2.5. Thank you.
Mr. Huckleberry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The concern I have, if you remove the language, it implies we can't add to our existing park boundaries that we have at Tortolita and Tucson Mountain.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that's going to make it worse, not better, if we just
And
have
if
the
you-
one.
if you wanna-
need to broaden the language, not restrict it.
Yeah,
And
Mr.
with the intent of focusing it on, in the long term, the linkages. But how do you do that? And what kind of language you do that with, I'm not sure.
Mr. Chairman
Mr. Huckleberry.
and Supervisor Bronson, perhaps we could, we use the word emphasizing, and maybe that's a poor choice of words on our part. And probably what we could do is just strike with an emphasis on and just say including the county's natural resource parks.
Yeah, that'll do it.
All right, are there any further questions, comments?
I would just comment that, Mr. Huckleberry, I didn't mean to imply that you wouldn't be here in 30 years still as a county manager, sir.
Okay. I don't think he wants to be. He'll only do it under duress.
What's the will of the board?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no other comments, I'm going to move to close it's Flood Control District Board, so it's not a hearing per se. Okay. I'm going to move that we approve Resolution 2013 FC9 with the language that we just developed and strike the emphasis on part.
And including.
And, including, just no emphasis on, but including. Okay, and so move Resolution 2013 FC9 with that change.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve item number 8 and resolution number 2013-FC9, striking no emphasis but including, and with the language that was just developed, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Elias.
even though this is a resolution for flood control, and it's a little odd, I'm just wondering if we can make sure that we put it on this motion, and I'm asking Supervisor Bronson if she'll accept this, is to make sure that everybody understands and staff understands that we take very seriously this wildlife corridor and putting it together, because there's a lot of ifs and ands, and there's a lot of potential changes that are going to take place out there. I just think it's critical to make sure we all understand that that's kind of the prize that we keep our eye on. Short of tying our hands, because I don't want to do that either. I don't think that's a good approach either, Supervisor Bronson.
I think we can do that as direction, as opposed to in the language of the contractual language.
That's what I'm asking, but I just feel like
No,
it's
that's
important to
fine.
bring
No.
it up now at this point
Yeah,
in the
that's
discussion.
fine. That's fine.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. I'll go ahead and move to item number 10, under County Administrator, as it's related to this item.
And I think the issues were all related to the item 8 as opposed to item 10, somewhat reflective in item 10, but I think the changes in 8 deal with, we don't need to do anything with, in terms of changing 10. So I'm going to move resolution, item 10 and resolution number 2013-119, again with the proviso that that we continue with evaluating alternative routes that would best facilitate wildlife movement and achieve the goal of trail connectivity, and that, as we had already discussed, that the Oversight Committee already in progress, that we continue to work with the Oversight Committee as appropriate.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve item number 10, resolution number 2013-119, with the provisos that Supervisor Bronson included. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Now we'll go ahead and hear item under Stadium District Board, unfinished business, item number 9. I believe that's tied to item number 14 on the regular agenda. Is there a step
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of approving item number 9 on the Stadium District Board of the addendum agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Moving on to contract and award on the regular agenda, community development and neighborhood conservation, item number 11.
Mr. Chairman, I am going to move item number 11, community development and neighborhood conservation. And if there are no objections, item 12, Tucson Urban League, and item 13, Tucson Youth Development.
Second.
Oh, did you want to go on?
No,
No,
I'm
okay,
done.
just those three.
All right, a motion before us.
Somebody has their phone on.
Yeah, someone. All right, the motion before us on the approval of item 11, 12, and 13 on the addendum agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving then to economic development and tourism, item number 14.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Miller.
This one gets back to the same issue that we had in the other one, that this was a contract that ended on June of 2013, and I do know that Mr. Was it that we were working with on this? Anyway, I know that they're currently looking for the information, the accounting of the $75,000 that Tom Bolton is looking for, the accounting of the $75,000 that was spent on this, and that they haven't got that accounting yet, but that is in process of pulling that together. Again, I would like to see these things come before the board completed and with the information prior to the contract's ending. I know he's extending the contract term out another year, but I would like to get a copy of the report of the $75,000 and how that was spent once he receives that. I know he's in process of procuring that information.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, we do have that information now.
Okay.
And we held the contract in order to get that information before. That's the reason that we made the contract late in this case.
Okay, so could we please get a copy of that
Yes, ma'am.
forwarded to our office? Thank you very much. In that case, if there's no other comments, I'd like to move to approve item number 14, unfinished business, Pima County Sports and Tourism Authority, amendment number 5 to provide for the activities and extend the contract term to June of 2014.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item number 14. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Item 15, 16, and 17.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move those items.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item number 15, 16, and 17. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Hearings, franchises, license permits, items 18, 19.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no one in the audience that wishes to address us on these two items, one being an extension of premises, the other a fireworks permit, I'll move to close public hearing and approve those items.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing and approve item number 18 and 19. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to item number 20 and resolution number 2013-120.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no one in the audience that wishes to address us on this item, I move to close public hearing and approve item 20 and resolution 2013-120.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing and approve item number 20 and resolution number 2013-120. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. We move to call to the public. I do have one speaker card. Mary Murphy, would you please come up, identify yourself for the record? You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, board. Nice to see you guys. Want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I have one idea in the coming year, that you make a resolution to get you, your staffs, everybody else to return phone calls. I invite people to call me all the time. No one calls me. I want to hear from these people. Suzanne Shields at Flood Control has managed to avoid talking to me for an entire year. Anyways, talking about that CMG engineering contract, I was to the Green Valley Council meeting and let them know some of what I'm looking into. They won't take anybody's word for anything until this 2014 paperwork is in and the inspection comes in. I've continued to accumulate eyewitnesses to the failures on our drainage ways in our fairways. Particularly in my neighborhood. I attempted to go to the homeowners association meeting and let them know about it, but this is the 3rd meeting I've been asked to leave before I got to get my time, my air time. Dan Shear at the Green Valley News, he won't print that some of our neighborhoods are in trouble, as Mr. Huckleberry has told him that I just can't accept the word of the experts. Some of these experts state that, well, sediment deposited downstream comes from upstream. And I don't have to accept anything, especially if I know better. But they won't say anything about the neighborhoods, but they will let everybody know that Mr. Elias took a trip to Israel. And I bought can I distribute these extra, read all about it?
Make sure we get it.
The paper won't print that some of our neighbors should probably be looking into flood insurance, at least be given the option. But this op-ed, I brought the whole section so you could see what's going on in the rest of the newspaper in Green Valley. It's usually a bunch of fluff or nutter about what's cooking in that town. On the op-ed page, it's this worst thing I have ever read in that newspaper. And it's directly related to whatever the divide is between the Republicans and each other. And we never read anything bad about stuff that goes on with Mr. Carroll or his budget or anything. And Dan Shear says that the paper's not at all partisan. But I think they're very cozy with Mr. Carroll. When he graces us with his presence, they roll out the red carpet. But anyways, since I've gotten to know you people and I know your names, and I kind of sympathize with anyone that would get slammed this way in any newspaper, I'd love to see a rebuttal. Perhaps it could come from Mr. Huckleberry or the chairman or something. This is the worst thing I ever read in that newspaper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board to call to the public? Seeing none, this meeting stands adjourned.